Where U.S. President Donald Trump has decided not to testify in his hush money criminal trial. His lawyers still have the opportunity to deliver closing argument statements next week, though. Trump is facing charges of falsifying business records to cover up a payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. That was before the 2016 presidential election. Let's get you some analysis now. We're joined by Professor Diane Kissel, former New York Supreme Court Justice and Manhattan prosecutor. Prof, it's great to have you with us on the program here in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I want to begin by saying it might have been, I imagine, a blow for prosecutors, this decision by the former president. Prosecutors would have hoped that Trump would damage his own case, right, by taking to the stand.
Well, good evening. Prosecutors might have hoped that, but it is quite rare in American courts for defendants to take the stand in their own behalf, although they have an absolute right to do so under the law. Generally, it is not a good idea to expose yourself to the cross-examination of prosecutors, especially if perhaps you think that the case is not as strong against you as prosecutors hoped. While they might have enjoyed going at Mr. Trump, I don't think deep down inside they expected it.
Yeah. He would have been exposed, obviously, if they had taken that decision. Unlikely, as you say, it would have been. But it would have exposed Trump to, obviously, probing questions from prosecutors and also the risk of perjury if he lied under oath.
Absolutely correct. Exactly.
So, Prof, the trial is almost over. A lot of the testimony has been, in some quarters, shall we say, shocking. Do you think, and I wonder if this is something you want to comment on, that the perception about Donald Trump has changed during the course of the trial?
Well, that's hard to say. Political life in America is very, very polarized right now. So I believe that Donald Trump's supporters, no matter what they hear at this trial, will perceive this trial as a political attempt to attack him. And those who are opposed to Trump, who don't like him, who do not like his politics, will be thinking that he's finally been exposed and perhaps the voters can finally see who he is. And I don't know if anybody's ideas about him, quite frankly, have changed. But perhaps both sides have only solidified, which is sort of an unfortunate place we are right now in our politics here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just reading a bit of polling insofar as Trump is concerned ahead of your own elections in your country. We face elections in South Africa next week. You face elections some months down the line. But as you say, it probably cements those who are anti-Trump. But I wonder how many of those who were in his corner before this trial, before all of this testimony, may have shifted.
Hard to say. Certainly there's information that's come out during this trial that to any other politician would be very, very damning. Whether that will be the case here again is very hard to say.
Well, yeah, and you're absolutely right to say, we can't say the same thing. The outcomes of this trial would have been for Trump versus a different politician, because he is sort of in his own league insofar as just how incredibly media savvy he is.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, every single day after the trial, he steps out into the hallway and essentially gives his own little press conference about the case. There are no cameras in the courts in New York State. And he puts his own spin on things. He has his own support from the United States Congress standing behind him. A number of politicians have come to the trial in support of him, mostly Republicans from the House of Representatives. And he has his own little stage there every day.
So, Professor Kissel, what are the possible outcomes that Trump faces?
Okay. He could, if he is convicted of the top counts, there are 34 counts. They are what we call E-felonies in New York, low-level felonies. If he's convicted, he could face a prison sentence of up to 4 years, or even if he is convicted of those charges, he could get probation or what we call a conditional discharge, which is essentially, yes, you've been found guilty, now don't go get into trouble again. Obviously, he could also be acquitted of some or all of the charges, in which case it's over. Or there could be a hung jury, meaning one or more people simply cannot decide whether the people have proven he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And then the district attorney would have the option of trying the case again.
Right.
Usually the DA looks at what the numbers are among the jurors before they make that decision.
So outside of the possibility of 4 years imprisonment, how do the other outcomes affect Trump's ability to run for office?
Again, he's a unique character, right? I think based on, I'm not a politician, but based on my own observations of politics, that might kill anybody else's political future. But with Mr. Trump, you never know. He could take that on the campaign trail and say, look, they're out to get me, but don't be fooled, vote for me, right?
Right. And essentially, he could still become president. Even if he gets probation, even if there's conditional discharge, that doesn't impact whether he is eligible for the presidency.
No, it does not.
Very interesting indeed. Professor Diane Kessel, a great pleasure talking to you. It's 2:30 in the afternoon here in Johannesburg. I know it's something to 9 in the morning where you are. We really appreciate your time. Thanks very much indeed.